Yeah, if you grew up during the Game Boy era or more recently saw Taron Egerton star in the Tetris movie, then do we have a guest for you? He's one of the reasons we had a misspent youth and has just released a new book about his adventures. Say good morning to Henk Rogers, everyone. Good morning, Henk. How are you?
Good morning. Nice to be here.
Well, it's a thrill to have you here as well. I mean, 5 minutes doesn't seem enough to talk about everything you've done in your career and everything you continue to do. But let's start with your new book. It's called The Perfect Game Tetris, From Russia with Love. What was the inspiration behind it?
Well, there's a movie that came out a couple of years ago called Tetris, and when I first read the script, I said, "Oh my gosh, the real story is so different and so much, well, in my opinion, more interesting." And so, after watching the movie, actually, it's a great movie. I decided to set the record straight so that everybody would know what actually happened.
Yeah, that's the thing. I mean, obviously, you know, Hollywood takes a story and will rejig it. They'll just say, based on a true story. Right. So what were the certain aspects or moments where you're like, that didn't happen, or that doesn't expand enough on what the, you know, the real nuts and bolts? Well,
the negotiations were pretty much accurate. I mean, like,
really?
they captured that, yeah.
Okay.
And they captured that, but there was no car chase.
There we go, see, folks.
There was no car chase.
Spoiler alert, there was no car chase.
And sorry about that.
That's okay.
And I didn't get to sleep with my interpreter.
Well, you know what? Again, the movies make it fun. But I mean, it's still a thrilling story. And at the time, did you realize you were sitting on the cusp of something, you know, so iconic that, you know, if you showed a frame from Tetris or held up a Game Boy, those two things are so associated together. It's a cultural phenomenon. Were you aware of what you were about to embark on?
Well, I had an inkling of what was going to happen with Game Boy, because I'd already made a deal with Nintendo to pack in Game Boy, to pack in Tetris with Game Boy. Yeah. And I knew that was going to mean 30 million copies. So that would have been my biggest hit to date. So at least that was, you know, as far as I knew what was going to happen. But the fact that it's still around today, yeah, and still killing it today, that I didn't predict.
That's incredible. The other fascinating thing is you're in Vegas right now, obviously, for another function, for another event. But this city plays actually a kind of a crucial role in the whole, you know, story into Tetris becoming a thing.
Yeah, this is where I found Tetris, at the Consumer Electronics Show, January 1988. There I was looking for games to bring to Japan. I was a publisher, and I found Tetris, and I got hooked on it right there on the floor. And that never happens, you know. Like, I look at a game and say, I'll take it back and let other people play it. But I got hooked on it, so.
What was that moment like? Was there a light bulb moment, or were you panicking, like, someone else is going to see this and snap this up, this is going to change everything? Well,
the thing is, I'm in Japan, I'm a foreigner. Yeah. And so I speak English better than they do. So I'm a little more nimble when it comes to talking to people outside Japan about licensing a game, for example. So I had an advantage over everybody else. Yeah. There was another company that wanted to, that was thinking about it, but then the execs looked at it and said, nah, Tetris, it's too retro.
Too retro.
In '88, can you believe it?
They're lost. Sorry, guys. I mean, you've been a pioneer in the gaming space. Like you mentioned, you know, you've traveled and lived all over the world, and you've been heavily embedded in it for years. Some things have changed for you now. We'll talk about that in a bit. But are there any changes or gaming trends or emerging technologies that are getting you really excited like you did back in the day with Tetris?
Well, I think AI is really going to change things. You know, in the old days, when you meet a character that is generated by the game, they only get to say a couple of things. But now they can be real people, yeah, with real personalities and individual personalities. And so that is going to change things. You're going to go into a world and meet real people, and it's going to be hard to tell who are the real people and who are the generated people.
Yeah, and talking about changing things, the shape of what you do now has kind of changed as well. You're heavily into sustainability. We were talking off camera about the work you're doing in Hawaii. The importance of that and what you hope to achieve. Do you think any of that can be addressed within the gaming world? Do they have a responsibility to change some things to be more sustainable, to protect the environment?
Yeah, sure. I do think that people can express their desire to have stuff in the gaming world rather than in the real world, which means that we don't have to make all that stuff. You know what I'm saying? Like things that you dig out of the ground to turn into products. Those products can be virtual products. So I think that's going to be a big deal in the future. But yeah, I think that young people, they understand what is an epic win. When you play a game, you have an epic win. We need an epic win for climate change.
Yeah, we do, for sure. Henk, thank you so much for coming in. This is kind of a crazy moment for me, full circle. Like I said, I spent many a misspent hour of my youth.
Don't say misspent.
No, not misspent.
Come on.
I mean, that's probably wrong. To other people, it was misspent. To me, it was about getting a high score.
There you go.
So thank you for coming in. Guys, book. Henk, thank you so much for coming in
Thank
today.
you.
Henk's new book, The Perfect Game, Tetris from Russia with Love, is out now and available on Amazon. You can also learn more about Henk, his ventures, and more by visiting henkrogers.com.